Yes. So we're going to play Smash or Pass.
So badass. And keep up with all of this.
Yeah, get up.
And you try to like, oh my God, what does this taste like? No, just leave.
I'm talino. Everything I make just ends up being this very flat.
Saying this is so us. I come running for advice because it's you I trust. I got your back. I got your back.
Mike, the chef in the building.
That's the great way to start the show.
Right. Hey guys, welcome to But First Coffee.
There we go.
I'm Hawi.
TG.
And we have
Mike
the chef.
Mike the chef in the building. Yes, we do. Welcome back to the show. Obviously, we're getting very cozy. We had a fun morning, got to know each other a little bit.
Yes, we did.
The first day.
So we're meeting each other.
Yeah.
So you guys missed like a good 2-3 hours of us getting to know him.
The intro is important.
Always.
Energy's aligning.
So please introduce yourself to our audience.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Shiferaw. I am a chef, content creator, and creative worker. Let's just say we'll get more into the details. But yeah, you might have seen my cooking videos on Instagram or TikTok or other interviews on YouTube. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just an internet person.
Yeah.
Most people don't think I'm a real person. Like they see me, I'm like, because they always see me on their phones.
Yeah.
And like, it's almost like I don't exist.
And
It's a weird position.
yeah, he's a real person. I'm not. I'm a figment of your imagination.
I actually like the fact that you mentioned that you're not just a chef, because we were mentioning this before the interview. I was like, wait, you do these cooking, like, you know what I mean, gathering, like shows,
the events.
you do the events, you have like cooking videos. Like, to say that you're a chef, I think diminishes all that you do. So creative is the better word.
I guess so, because I don't like doing one thing. Like, even the way I got into cooking was a bit unorthodox. So I taught myself how to cook. I didn't go to culinary school or anything like that. So I kind of created a curriculum for myself. I always had the interest in cooking. So it started like early childhood. My mom's a great cook. And I was always in the kitchen next to her, like asking her, like, okay, what's that? And you know, like whenever she'd make Shiro or anything, like I was always the person that tastes. So
Oh, you were the sous chef.
I was the sous chef.
I like that.
It started off really early. So I never thought that I'd take it seriously enough for it to be my profession. It was always something that I enjoyed.
Yep.
But like also the way I learn how to do things is very like obsessive, a bit mental. Like I go into a lot of details, and if I can understand like the fundamentals, like the science of it, like for cooking, I want to understand like the different chemical reactions that take place when you heat something and different techniques. So actually when I decided, okay, like I'm going to do this for real. So I used to, well, YouTube is like the biggest source that we have for education.
It's cool.
Yeah. And then like there wasn't that much content, like local content.
Yeah.
So I just consumed anything that I got my hands on, but specifically things that describe the process in a certain detail was always really valuable. So I'd download the videos, I'd watch them like 25 times, 30 times, and like I would see how their wrists move, I would see how their elbows move, I would see how what their stance is, how they describe the thing. And if it's someone that knows what they're talking about, usually can get a lot of information. But like most things just go over our head because new things are intimidating. And like, especially details and science is kind of intimidating.
Yeah.
But I guess since I come from a family of engineers, a lot of like academics, so that was kind of instilled in me. And before I got into the profession, like my dad always wanted me to be an architect or like some kind of...
That makes sense, actually.
Being an architect?
I think most creative people that I know kind of ended up in architecture and then pivoted to...
Yeah, I have a theory. I think it's because the kind of socially accepted way to be a creative
was to be an architect. He's not kidding.
Yeah, you start with architecture and like people either drop out or they finish and they
do something else.
Yeah. Isn't it so sad? Like most of the people, like most people, get their degrees in one thing and do something completely different.
That's the story of everybody's
That-
life.
yeah.
Yeah.
And hey, I'm like, I think I've come to a point where I don't knock it. I'm like, get the degree. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The degree is a good like fallback safety net thing that you can have. But I hope while you were getting the degree, you were working on that side thing.
Like you
already.
find yourself.
Yeah.
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 But it's kind of tough to have the energy to do a lot of
Yeah.
It really depends on the person. I started working when I was in uni. I was in commerce. I learned accounting and finance. It's like so different. And for me, it's like my creative brain was kind of slowly dying
Yeah.
because, like, what would you do with the numbers? Like,
Jeez.
you add them, you record them. Like, there's nothing else. It's just different rules. So I didn't have like place to kind of move around, like creatively for my brain. So that's why I kind of took cooking seriously. And when COVID came, I was like, okay,
That's it.
the whole world stopped. So
Yeah.
finally gave me time to, okay, like, what do I actually want to do?
Hmm.
Like, that's when I got this stuff too.
Is a chef.
I did not see that.
I've never showed off my little sini, so I guess I was showing him this as well and being like, I take bunna very serious.
That's so cool.
That is cool. That is cool.
But yeah, COVID was kind of
Yeah,
The
it was
turning
the
point.
birth of a lot of creatives, I think.
exactly.
But what do you guys think would have happened had we not had COVID to like?
In an
Like
alternate
stop
universe.
time in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think would have?
For me, I definitely wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now.
Mm.
And like, maybe I would have been in finance. Maybe I would have stuck there.
I don't see you as the finance guy.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Finance,
maybe I
bro?
did for like 6 months. Or,
Yeah.
to be fair, I did work as an accountant for a bit, but I worked in digital marketing firms, so I can understand the business more before I kind of fully stepped in.
Mm.
So going back to like my story and how I got to this path. So COVID came, I did the whole, like, I taught myself like 6 days a week, like up to 10 hours a day in the kitchen. So practicing different knife cuts.
Wow.
So from those videos, like watch them over and over again. So I can visualize them in my mind. I've watched it so many times. I know what turns into what and why. So it's kind of ingrained in me. And I did this for different fields of cooking. So there's pastry, there's different kinds of cooking. So if I just go like recipe by recipe, it would just take me too long.
Okay.
And like I'll kind of miss the point. So I focused on the techniques. So the knife cuts, the how you treat, how you cook different things, basic principles as much as possible. So if I can master the fundamentals, it can allow me to be creative. And like I can do different things with the food. It kind of like, if I know the fundamentals, kind of opens my mind to know what's possible and like in what way that I can be creative. For example, like if I'm making dabbo kolo and I know the basic formula of making dabbo kolo, like, flour, sugar, like whatever, then I can make a different flavored dabbo kolo.
Yeah.
Or I can make a dabbo kolo with a different kind of texture. So starting point is how to make the basic thing. And then I can be creative in terms of like how I mix different things, different flavors, different textures, the look of it, etc., etc.
So did you start content creating with cooking, or was it already something that you were doing
I
prior to
actually
the cooking?
started creating content through written media. I used to write articles.
Ah.
So during lockdown, while I was like teaching myself, I actually started like writing articles because I love writing different things, like as a way to express myself, like most things in my life, but also I need some way to communicate because I love learning something and teaching it.
Okay.
Because like I learned it in like a very like broken down, very, like fundamentalist way that like even to be creative, I can give advice and I can, I'm the type of person like when I explain something, it's because I have to get it. I have to understand it well for me to describe it to you. So even if I'm not explaining it to anyone, I picture that I'm explaining it to someone. So like, this is what it is. Like I'm explaining it, but I have to know it to explain it. So kind of like it's part of my process in a way.
Okay.
So I wanted to share that. So articles felt like a good way because I can get like into like details. I remember I wrote an article about chocolate chip cookies, and then I broke down each ingredient. So the chocolate, the butter, the flour, the eggs,
Cocoa powder.
no cocoa powder.
Okay.
Yeah. So for the eggs, I did an explanation of egg yolks and egg whites, And
Dude, you were meant to be a chef.
I was like, what the heck?
yeah, and like what you do with each ingredient and tweaking each ingredient, how it would affect the final product. If you want a chewier cookie, if you want a crispier cookie, you use more white sugar or brown sugar, because brown sugar has more molasses, and molasses makes cookies more chewy. So again, like individual factors. And I think cooking wise, what influenced me the most is this book called The Food Lab. It was written by this a chef called Jake and G. Lopez Alt. He's a Japanese American chef. He was an MIT student. He graduated and moved like to cooking. So kind of got a rep in the industry. Like always, like a lot of people are technically good, but there aren't a lot of thinkers and creatives in this field because there's an apprentice and then there's a master. So your mom teaches you something and then you teach your kids that thing, or your friends that thing. So things are left unchecked, and there's a lot of like myths and like, ooh, if you do this and this, like, this is why. A lot of explanations like that, but like none of them were actually tested. And he was the first person that like applied the scientific process to different cooking practices. And it was like 1,300 page book. Like in like 2-3 days, I read that cover to cover, and then picked different things that I wanted to work on, and just like kept on my course, I guess, like educating myself. It took like a couple months, like 3 months of like 60 hours a week, something like that. And yeah, eventually like I worked up the tactile,
The muscle memory.
the muscle memory of it, like cooking and like being cut and like like all those things, the ugly things that come with it. Like I was committed, so stuck with that. And then I decided, okay, I need to have some experience in the industry because I need to know how certain things work. So I got my first restaurant job, and it was at a restaurant called Doc. It was around Poli at the time, and it was crazy how I got the job. Like, shout out Brooke. But I just had a conversation with him. I had a friend called Kudus who was working there, and he's like, well, come talk to him. And like, we talked for like 30 minutes. And I'm like, this is what I want to do. And like, there's this. And like, I guess he appreciated my energy. Like, I don't have papers. I don't have, go to culinary school. Didn't work in previous like other establishments. So I talked to him. He saw like there's like the fire in me, and gave me a chance. And then I kind of created creative solutions to different problems, food-wise and other systems-wise, because I was also an accounting student. So I had some kind of a financial background. So the structure that gave me, it kind of helped with different ventures. So it gave me the chance to see the behind the scenes of a restaurant for the first time. So supply side, like how do you secure the actual ingredients for you to cook? It's not just the actual cooking, and like being a line cook and seeing the tempo of things and what it's like to work in the service industry. Like,
Customer service is not easy.
it's not
Work, yeah.
Like, if I was a server, it would have been more difficult because you have to interact with people. And like any job where you have to interact with customers like face to face is like really hard.
Is difficult.
Yeah, it's very difficult. So still in the kitchen, I was a line cook, but I also came up with different like recipes and stuff. For example, there was the brick oven. They used to make pizzas. Doc had really good pizzas. Like Roman style pizzas are like very thin crust, but good dough. Like the dough rests overnight, ferments, has a nice flavor, and you cook it in a brick fired oven. Maybe like 70 seconds, 60 seconds.
Oh, wow.
It'll cook through.
Okay.
So, really nice texture. But traditionally, pizzerias and places with like brick ovens, once you turn the oven off, I mean, when you put out the fire, it's still warm. And it's like the perfect temperature to bake bread.
Okay.
So what they usually do is like they bake pizzas throughout the day, and at night they'll bake bread to sell the next morning. So I developed a few recipes. There's a bread called ciabatta. I started a sourdough starter and everything, and created a master recipe. A lot of like food-wise created a lot of things. Did a couple of events. He used to own the restaurant in Alliance. So did a couple of events there. So kind of like loosened my hands again. And then I started working at Asabit. Also, same friend that got me into doc. He had a job interview.
We like that friend.
Yeah, good friend. He had a job interview at Asabit. And I was like, come with me. He's like,
Yeah.
okay, sure. And then Sheikh Anis was there, talked to him. So at that time, so I learned in commerce, class was half day. So second half of the day, I'd have time to work.
Okay, so you're doing this while you're doing your accounting classes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, classes, at first, like since we didn't get back from COVID, I had some time. But at some point, like it started. And like the last 6 months, we learned 3 semesters.
Okay.
So kind of like it was a lot of workload to be doing something of physical labor because you have to be present while you're working in a kitchen.
Yeah.
You know, like it's physically very demanding.
Yeah.
So I couldn't do it for too long. But yeah, back to Asabit, talked to Shiferaw, and then the time slots didn't align. So I was like, okay, sadly, it won't work. And then I remember, like, went down, got a taxi. Right when I reached Well Lucifer, my friend Kidus called me and like, oh, come back. So I went back, and then the pastry chef at the time, a woman called Sharon Asrat, a very lovely person, taught me a lot of things in my short time. But like talked to me and like, okay, what can you make? They had specific things that they wanted the pastry department to do. Like, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And I'm like, yeah. And then when can you start today? I'm like,
Oh.
yeah. So changed clothes and everything. Gabo. And first day you're like,
There's a lot of nerves in the first day. And you don't know where anything is or
yeah, and like she made me like carry this big bag of flour and everything. The stuff that they didn't want to do, just like to test me because there's all sorts of people in the industry and like I guess people talk a lot of game, but a lot of people don't know how to
Can't back it up.
Yeah, exactly. So and then she started asking me things and stuff, and I had answers and I had suggestions. Like if you do this, it will be better. Like so, I could hold my own, and I was confident in what I knew because I put on a lot of work
Right.
to get to that point. So it gives you a certain level of confidence, like over preparation.
being over prepared. Yeah, for sure.
100%. Yeah. So yeah, and then after that, slowly, like I started taking on more responsibility, and then like I didn't even work that long there. Like a month into it, classes were just like too intense because there would be nights where I'm staying there like past 9, 10, going back home, and then I have class at 8:30 in the morning.
Jeez.
So it was like so draining. And then I finished class at like noon or like 12:30, and then I have to be there by 1 or 1:30. So I get there like directly into lunch rush. Kitchen is crazy, and we kind of it was nice. A bit short lived, but I got what I wanted out of it at the end of the day. Like the information that I wanted. Okay, what's it like? What can I do? And what's kind of my part in it? So went back to my accounting degree, finished. Didn't take my tempo or anything.
All of this for nothing.
But I left, I swear to God. Mentally, I just had to check that off.
Yeah.
And for my parents.
Of course.
There needs to be like a graduation ceremony.
They need to have have that party for them to feel like
He did it.
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's the least I could do.
How long did all of it last before you ended up, doing your own thing?
So I graduated, right? For the first like 4 or 5 months, I did like the accounting jobs in a few digital marketing firms. Again, like I got the insight that I wanted, but I knew that I wanted to create my brand. So how I came to that decision too. So I went on this trip to a place called Geberezgi. South, like beautiful place. Very wild.
Lots of elephants.
Immersed in nature. Yeah. Lots of all kinds of animals.
Yeah.
So I went there with this company called Toga Hiking, who have a sister company called Ground Food Digitals.
Yeah.
And so the people that were on the trip, a lot of content creators, a lot of people in the industry and like in the space that I wanted to be in. So I kind of like took it all in because, at that point I was kind of looking for how it will all click. And I knew I wanted to express myself and tell my story, but I didn't know how exactly. So I saw them like, okay, creating content and everything. I'm like, okay, I guess I can do this. And then they helped me create my brand, kind of like establish things. I didn't know anything about like video or content, or like I understood the social media platforms, but as a consumer, not as a creator. So like, yeah, I took some time to learn from the other creators, even though they're in different niches. Like you're content creators at the end of the day, and like there's a lot of similarities. So yeah, I shadowed them for a couple of weeks, and then created a content calendar. And
you
like
never do
structured
anything just
no.
let me try.
There's literally planning, detailed science behind everything that you do, which I appreciate.
I don't know any other way to do it. Like that's the thing. I guess it's impressive, but that's how my brain works.
Yeah.
I don't know how to half-ass something. Like if I'm doing it, I'm doing it. So etching on my skin, like I'm gonna do it. So after that, like I didn't know like how to create content. I didn't know how to film, like all the details, all the production details. But maybe my first video was Indomie. I had bleached hair back then.
The blonde hair.
I'm sure it matched. I'm sure.
This was growing out, so like only the tip was like good. It was, I don't know. It was a vibe. And it was an era too. I really love like eras and creating different characters in my mind. So when I do something, or like when I dedicate myself to something, I create kind of a look around that. So in my mind, it's like, okay, this is a different person learning a new thing.
Yeah.
So like I can be a student for real because I'm committing. Like I'm gonna look a certain way when I do this, and I'm gonna do certain things. I remember then I won a giveaway. So Zoya, like I shared something on my story, and like the giveaway was like a couple nights in like massage and like the whole thing in Kuriftu, and then I didn't go. Yeah,
why not?
Like, mentally, I was working. I couldn't convince myself to take a break.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, like just it was like sets in my mind. So first video I made was Indomie. I made Indomie with like onions and garlic and like a nice chefy kind of way.
A little
elevated, because when I was doing my content calendar, it was like I created different themes. So who's my target audience, and who's like the intended audience for this, and what kind of content do I make? And people eat Indomie a lot.
We do. We love.
I don't eat Indomie. Like
Not the original form, but like, you know.
Yeah.
Sort of like
Yeah. So I made that video, and like it got 20,000 views in the first 10 days or like 2 weeks. I was like, okay, cool. And then I made Boxinga.
I see. That was a big leap from Indomie to boxing.
I mean, I could do it. Like I just.
I like the flex.
I was just trying to go easy on you.
Yeah. So I did a couple of videos, and like 5 videos in, I had like 10,000 followers.
Nice.
Because every video did well. And I'm like, weird. And then I got recognized for the first time because I had blonde hair. You could see me from the It's like I was walking in my supper, and like I was like, chef, I was like, yeah, we appreciate you. I was like, oh my god, thank you. Weird immediately.
I'm sure. Surreal.
It's so unnatural. Like, you know, like I go about my day and people recognize me. Like I still not used to it. Like for me, I try to immerse myself in the work, because for me, that's the only thing that matters at the end of the day. And my growth as a person and as a creative, and trying different things and having the courage to try different things and failing. And that process is more important to me than...
Yeah, that's the part that's nice.
Yeah.
Same with us, I think.
To be able to try something new.
The part where you get to create and come up with new ideas and be like, we should change this, we should do that is the most
to
fun
be
part
in charge
of
of that creative process.
100%. And then afterwards, it's kind of like, that doesn't belong to me anymore.
Whatever happens afterwards.
Yeah.
Because you as the creator, your responsibility is to do your best to know what you're doing, like to research and to make something of a certain like stature, and like create certain kind of value to people, the people that are going to consume it, regardless of what the media is. that's what the essence of being a creator is. And like, I didn't have the vocabulary to define this to myself at the time, but I knew what my heart wanted. And like, eventually, like, if I follow that, I'll get to somewhere that I'm happy with.
Yeah.
Everything else is like supposed to be extra.
I like that.
Regardless of what you're doing, like fulfillment in what you're doing is very important. Like we're people at the end of the day.
The heart wants what it wants.
The heart wants what it
It
wants.
does.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go for a quick break and we'll be back. We're going to discuss some food questions that we have.
Yes.
Because I cook. You like to bake more than you like to cook.
So I like to bake. I like to eat.
She really likes to eat. That's the emphasis. I like to eat. So yeah, we do have, we want to elevate our skills. You can't have like a source right here and
not do anything about it.
That's crazy. But let's go for a break and we'll be right back.
I got your back.
We wanted to ask you a little bit more food questions before we get into the game.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. So just some questions to get to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
If I can talk about TikTok, since you do TikTok videos and stuff like that, there are a lot of trending foods on TikTok, things that people do. What would you consider something that's a no, even though it's a trend on TikTok in terms of cooking? What is something that you would never recommend?
I'd never try or like would never.
Just be like, don't do this now. Even though it's trending, it's something that you wouldn't recommend yourself.
Yeah, I saw this video, like, granted, Indian street food. So with all the stereotypes.
Oh my God.
I've seen people. Like soda and eggs. Do you see that? Like,
Yeah. I actually did see that.
Yeah.
That was
kind of
disturbing.
disgusting. Yeah. Right.
So you'd
have to watch. I'm just imagining the texture because like the soda has sugar and the sugar kind of caramelizes over the eggs and
yeah, the physical reaction to that one.
I'm imagining eating that. Right?
I don't know. I'm curious about it. There's one where it's a pickle but then you wrap it with candy.
Oh yeah, the fruit leather. The
Yes.
candy. That's
And then
I wouldn't
tahini on
think
top.
that bad. Yeah. So there's pickles, like the pickled cucumber, and so that has acid. Usually, when you make dishes and when you try to balance the flavors, you balance salt, fat, acid, heat. So anything you're making, like just keeping this in mind, salt levels people use. The one biggest mistake people make when cooking is like not using enough salt. It shouldn't be salty, but without the presence of salt, we can't taste the other taste either.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's kind of all muted.
Salt is super important.
Very important. And like season as you go. So you build flavor.
That's true.
Instead of just like adding salt in
One
the end.
time.
Yeah. So the surface will be salty and the whole thing won't be salty. So, yeah. What was the question?
We were talking about the pickle with
Yeah.
sugar,
So-
sugar, there's spice, there's salt.
The pickles have acid, so there's like a nice acidity. There's sweetness from the candy, and the tahini also gives it a different kind of spice. It's better. Like I wouldn't recommend it, but like try it.
It might be nice.
It might be nice.
The next one is apples and peanut butter.
You don't like that?
I've
should be
never
fine.
tried it.
The combo together?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Do you eat apples with peanut butter?
Yeah.
That's so strange.
I mean, I guess we grew up with it as like kids. It was like,
You kind of
do it.
dip it in the.
so you do like apples or like celery with peanut butter. It was just like kid snacks that we used to have.
Yeah, it's crunchy, so it's nice.
It's nice.
The texture wise is nice.
Exactly.
Plus peanut butter and apple kind of go well together. So
Okay.
That's
if
interesting.
you add a little bit of cinnamon too, would be like apple pie vibes.
Apple pie vibes.
Yeah.
You get, speaking of,
Yeah.
what would you consider a guilty pleasure of yours that maybe other people would not expect from you?
Guilty pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. So I love eggs a lot. And then
He mentioned he eats like 8 eggs a day. Dude.
7 a.m. Like most meals with eggs. So I like cooking complicated things, but I like to eat like dead simple things. My favorite food is misr. And like aside from that, I take like boiled eggs, avocados, a few spices, and I eat that and have some yogurt. Like that's
So it's not a guilty pleasure.
it's not guilty pleasure. Like
It's pretty healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have craving for sweets that much, but I don't know.
We're the same. We're not into sweets
We're
like
not.
that either.
We're
Yeah,
Savory.
Yeah,
Salty.
salty, like
Exactly.
salty snack.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Um,
But I do love abulad, the real one, not this abounded.
Not abounded abulad. I think anybody that grew up with abulad just knows. It's
taste.
elite, man.
Yeah,
And we miss
the
it and bring
texture.
it back. And this is the official petition.
Yes, bring the abulad back.
Bring abulad back. Because abounded, I try it. I know it's not the same, but then I forget and then I go buy it again.
Yeah.
And I feel like
Not
that's
it.
a problem.
I actually I want to recreate abulad because I can recreate the biscuit and I can recreate
The cream
the
filling.
cream. Yeah, but like I don't want it to be like too gourmet. I want it to be like as
Original.
processed.
As- yeah.
As original. Like I want that. I want to get that taste. Like yesterday, I was at the barbershop and she was putting some kind of cream and it smelled exactly like abulad. And like
Wow.
I asked her,
You're like,
yeah,
what's in it?
yeah, what's in it?
What's in
So it's like an obsession.
It's fine.
Okay.
The question I wanted to ask, I think, especially with Ethiopian food,
Yeah.
one of the first times I was asked to explain how something works in Ethiopian food was I was making coffee for foreigners, and they asked how many cups of coffee to how many tablespoons of the ground coffee itself. And I was like, I don't know. I do it by heart.
You just go based on
It's a
what your spirit tells
feeling.
you. Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of Ethiopian food, it's hard to come up with like the specific measurements because somebody's berbere is stronger than somebody else.
True.
Yeah.
So how do you quantify these things when you try to make recipes?
Okay. So if it's something like super specific on coffee, how you roast it, how you grind it is very important. And the way we make coffee is using jebena, that's under like infusion. So how you extract the coffee is different. An espresso is different than a jebena.
Yeah.
So it kind of varies because different kind of coffee has a different kind of taste.
Strength.
So the ratios aren't as aligned. That's why there's a lot of guesswork involved. And it's also because we don't get consistent products in our markets for different things. I guess that's the more natural way for it because things aren't that consistent in nature. So whoever's making the coffee or whatever it is has to kind of adjust their taste.
Yeah.
And that's why like something you make has your taste.
Yeah.
And something I make has my taste. Something you make has your own taste. So it's kind of like there is no right answer. There's a big part of it is familiarity. Like our mom's cooking, like you can tell.
Yeah.
Like
It's just a feeling.
yeah. And there's a Korean word for it. I forgot what it was, but there's a word for your hand and like the edge or like the way you make things. Like
Yes.
your touch has a different factor with that. So it's kind of hard to quantify because, like for example, like more complex processes like making injera, like add 2 cups of this. It won't work like that because there's a lot of adjustment that you have to make. So I would say like for describing different processes, it's better to go by technique and feel and a certain taste and trying to get it close because one ingredient changes a bit and the whole flavor changes.
It's different also.
So it depends on who's teaching you and depends on how specific that you want to get. Like with how scientific I like to get,
Yeah.
I have a lot of ways of testing and trying to get it consistent, but it's always different, especially when it's cooking. Your onions might not taste the same, or your garlic might be a bit different. Or when we go to like spices like berbere, either buy it or if you make it, the ratios of the spices is a bit different, like with every household.
Yeah.
So you have to like the dried onions, the dried garlic, all the other spices that you choose to add. It gives it a distinct flavor. But like what we do in our house is, so me and my mom make berbere and pita once a year, like a big batch.
Yeah.
I mostly learned from her because like the traditional processes, she's been cooking for like, almost her entire life. So for me, the standard for berbere is like, okay, that berbere,
Mom's berbere.
that's how you make it.
Yeah.
And for me, I guess like quantifying it, trying to, is kind of difficult, but it should happen though. If you want to like communicate like how we like to make our food, like what's Ethiopian food like, there needs to be certain formula that's that you can tell or like that you can show. And it's not just Ethiopia. Like if you go to Middle Eastern countries, Middle Eastern grandmas, like, okay, how much of that did you put in? Like, I don't know.
I go by vibe.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So it depends on who's teaching you and depends on how specific that you want to get things. Because even in other countries, the what we make here and what in other countries, and injera here and injera in other countries is different.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's always adjusted to the taste of the people around there.
True.
So it's, for me, the best way is to learn some kind of the principle, the basic thing, what makes that dish. And the berbere might be a bit different. The onions, instead of using red onions, you might use white onions.
Yeah.
If you're in other countries, like a lot of countries, it's more common than red onions.
Yeah.
Yes,
So the
true.
flavor completely changes. So I'd say understand the structure, and individual things might vary. But like the more you make something, again, like your hands and like you kind of get used to the motions of making it,
Yeah.
and it develops a specific taste. So it takes a bit of repetition.
Right.
Because
I mean,
it's skill. Yeah.
Speaking of Ethiopian dishes, the beauty of our country is that there are so many different kind of cuisines.
Yeah.
What is a particular cuisine that you have not experienced that you
Nice. That's a
want to
good question.
taste?
Okay. I want to experience Afari food because Ethiopia is a big country.
Mhm.
And it always surprises me every time I leave the city, what I experience, like the way people eat. Their culture is represented by the food.
Yes.
One of the biggest things, how people eat signifies how they live within their societies. For example, if you go east, it's more communal, the way you eat. And even the ingredients and how they're cooked is very minimal processing because you make stuff for today, just like you live for today.
I see. Okay.
That nomad culture brings a different kinds of eating, and the way you utilize the ingredients around you is also fundamentally different. So central and northern Ethiopia, so along the highlands, heavy on teff, heavy on wet stuff.
Yeah.
Because stews are a very smart way to preserve nutrients and to cook for a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So think of like 1,000, 2,000 years back, cooking ways of cooking and techniques of cooking weren't that developed. So getting a pot,
Putting
putting everything in and letting them boil is kind of like the best way to feed a large group of people.
Yeah.
And every culture has mabaya, or like something you eat with. Like it might be rice, it might be injera, it might be bread, like different kinds. So there's like something you eat the thing with. It's very common. So that usually is associated with what kind of grain grows around
In
there,
your
especially
area.
in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
Because when where there's teff, you eat teff injera.
Where there's kocho, you
There's
eat
kocho, where there's insets, you eat kocho,
Mm-hmm.
and etc. Like insets is also super interesting because it's so much wisdom, because you can like bury insects for up to 14 years. So if there's any like drought or any problem comes, the food supply is undisturbed up to 14 years. And the longer it sits, the better it is for your gut. So you're actually making a better product. So there's a lot of wisdom in how people eat. So Afari, it's just so extreme. I've never been to Afar. It's like top of my bucket list for places that I haven't gone yet. And the way of life and the culture is so different. The food must be so different. And the fact that I don't know anything about it just there's so much intrigue. So I guess also with like a fascination of like the nomad culture. Surely it's so different, and I want to know what their replacement for injera is, or how they make injera, because in Harar it's aflenya, meaning like you just mix it and like you cook it right there.
I see.
There's no fermentation. Again, going back to that cultural connection where you live for today, you eat for today, you cook it now, you eat it now. There aren't even that many leftovers, you know.
Yeah.
So Afari food, I'd love to experience Somali food in depth, because we also disregard the different parts of Ethiopia
We
for different reasons.
That's real.
Because like just think like they're different, but like we're all Ethiopians, and there's so many cultures and there's so many things to explore. That's where my head's at. I would love to know more.
What about you? What is a part of Ethiopia where you haven't tried the food
That I haven't tried the food. I think more of the South. I feel like there's so many different types of like food in the South that I really want to explore. And I haven't actually traveled too much in the South.
Yeah, you came to Hawassa. That's about it.
So I feel like the South is definitely.
Yeah.
How about you?
I grew up in Hawassa. So to me, I grew up, obviously we ate injera for the most part, but you still were educated about false banana because like and satin and all the all the things that you can make out of it.
Yeah.
From the leaves to the roots to everything on the false banana tree has a purpose. You could do something with some part of the tree. You know, like the fibers, everything on that tree is either edible or used to cook.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the South, you were saying borsami, chukami.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways to do it. And then go up a little bit, it's a lot of meat. A lot of meat. It's just straight up saga.
Yeah. People are eating like raw meat for breakfast.
I love raw meat.
How we I feel like you fit in. We should switch families. So yeah, Ethiopia really does have a lot of variety, but we're so used to when we hear Ethiopian cuisine is injera, dorwet, beyainet.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so much more.
Let me ask you, because today, obviously, we're not in a kitchen. So the next time we meet you, and if you were to cook your signature dish for me and TG,
Okay.
what would you cook for us?
Something sweet or something like
We don't do sweet, so savory, spicy.
something I love to make for people is Spanish tortilla. Tortilla de papas. It's potatoes, onions, eggs, but like the way it's cooked, it's so unique, and it's like the best representation of greater than the sum of its parts. Very humble ingredients, but like it's very transformative, and they have this really like lovely memory related to that dish. A friend of mine, her name is Fikr. She's having a really bad day, and we were having like a friends get together. And then she came with a bad day, and like I wanted to make something. Like I cooked the Spanish tortilla, gave it to her, and like the smile on her face at that moment, like it was priceless.
Sweet.
And it was just like so comforting, so nice. I think you'd love it.
Hey,
I like that for me.
I like that. I like that. You know me, I'm a foodie, so I'm here for it.
As long as you feed Hawi, no problems. Before we do head over to our games, for the audience, these are for us.
This is entirely for us. You know that, right?
These are personal. But for the audience, I think cooking is sort of something that people should learn from an earlier age. I think the older you get, if you don't know how to cook, it can be sort of... It's a molehill, but it looks like a really big mountain.
Oh, you feel like that's it for you.
Yeah, like it's too late for you to start. So for the people that, I don't know, maybe don't cook very well or haven't started cooking yet.
Yeah.
What's like simple tips and tricks that you can tell them to like get them interested?
Okay. I think everyone can cook. Like at least something, you know? Don't have to be a chef. You don't have to know the science and stuff. Like that's just how I am. But start with one dish. Start with one dish that's not too complicated, but I guess it really depends on your interest. But like, find that one thing, and as a creative, like the advice I would give is change one ingredient the next time you make it. Tweak one thing, just one thing.
Nice.
So you can see what happens to the whole dish when you tweak one thing, and then next time you make it, tweak another thing. So you kind of get a feel for it. One of the things that made me creative in cooking is the fact that we don't have access to a lot of ingredients.
Yeah.
All the fancy ingredients now you don't have access to. So for me, I had to learn how to replace those things, which means I had to learn more okay, like what does this ingredient bring to the dish? So what do I have to replace, or what can I replace it with? So changing something every time, it really gave me like the frame of mind, because it's all about reps. The more you do something, the more you get into like the cooking and the repetition, you will get better. Like it's eventual.
Yeah.
But yeah, pick one thing to change, and better knives, like use sharper knives. I recommend that because
Somebody in the back started giggling. I don't know what happened. You sharper knife.
seriously though, like the dull knives are so dangerous because the knife might slip when you're trying to cut it. So if it rolls towards your fingers, like you're getting hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so the sharper the knife is, like the easier it cuts. Even when you're cutting onions, it won't make you cry as well.
Yes, I was gonna say, because it's so blunt, it releases more of that chemical that
People think otherwise. People are scared of like sharper knives. So it's good to know that.
Yeah. Even if you do get cut, a cleaner cut will heal much better. Unless like, if it's dull, it's like kind of jagged, you know, kind of rips everywhere.
Yeah.
I was telling them about my worst food injury.
Yes, we talked about those.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, this finger from here to here, chopped it off. So I was actually filming a commercial for Sync. And this was like my entry into the industry, like the whole media world. So it was like nice gig.
On set, in front of the camera.
Yeah. And like I bought a new knife because I was so excited.
Yeah.
And then we were chopping. And I was cutting a tomato really fast, too fast. And then I came really close to my fingers and I felt cold. And then I see it. I see white flesh and like blood is rushing out. And then wrapped it back up and finished the rest of the shoot.
You were able to keep it cute.
It's fine. And then, so I put gauze on it. Yeah. And didn't clean it when I got home because I was so tired. I just slept, like, it'll be fine. The next morning, I wake up and it started to heal over the gauze. And it was kind of like, I had to get it out because it would get infected.
Jeez.
So I went to the pharmacy. I got ibuprofen and isopropyl. So disinfected with the ibuprofen, took some painkillers, and then took a tweezer, disinfected that too, and then started pulling out the fibers in the directions that they're in. So it was this way and this way. So I had to pull like this way and then the other way. I was like,
yikes.
Like the 30 minutes of pure agony, but it healed up fine.
He's like, we see nothing on your finger. Yeah.
I noticed because I look at like, you know, looks a bit different.
I don't have a lot of accidents, but my husband, he's a naturally clumsy person. Do you know those people that when they get up, something hits their knee and they're always dropping glasses? Yeah. So I worry about him a lot. I'm like,
I don't consider myself clumsy either. No, I haven't had any serious accidents, so I'm good.
Yeah, safe for the most part. Safety first.
Yeah. Small accidents are really common. Like the more you cook, the more accidents you'll be in.
A few burns.
So like general safety tips go a long way because like building up the numbers, you will get cut at some point.
That's true.
Small cuts here, small bruise there. I actually got a burn yesterday.
While making us a present.
Yeah.
He made us basically homemade jalapenos.
Yes. Pickled jalapenos.
Yes.
I wanted to give something nice. I actually do that for my events too.
Very
I give
sweet.
a gift basket.
Yeah.
It's always nice to gift condiments and like stuff you can eat as a gift. It goes a long way because like after I'm gone, I was like, oh, like you remember the day you got the gift, like when you're eating it.
I would eat half of it.
I ate half of it for breakfast, guys. So we're gonna get to a break, and then when we come back,
we're gonna play a game. We have a new game for today. It helps us get to know each other even more.
It's but first coffee edition.
It is. It's our first coffee edition. So make sure to stay tuned, and we'll be right back. And we are back.
This time with the game.
Yes, these are super cute.
So we're going to play Smash or Pass.
Jesus Christ, no. We're playing or no. And this is the food edition. So we're basically going to talk about some things in food that we're like, yes, Absolutely. I do that. I love that.
Or no.
No, thank you. Leave me out of it.
Is there like an in between? Like, can I do like this?
I try to make decisions.
Yes or no?
You have to be decisive.
All right.
And then maybe a follow-up.
Let's get to it.
First one is a little bit controversial.
All right.
Tarisaga. Oh, yay! Everybody agrees.
1,000% yes.
So
Yes.
nobody here is like,
I thought you didn't like it.
again, I'm not in love with Tarisaga or anything, but I don't mind it now. I think my palate has developed.
Yeah.
You love it.
It's so Ethiopian. I love it.
Right?
Like, I love the fact that we eat raw beef. Like, you know, it's so badass.
It is.
Even though like we can't digest it as well, it's fine.
It's like, it's fine. It's culture.
It's fine. Yeah, it's culture. Yeah.
Does it taste like, I don't see, my thing with Tarisaga is there's no flavor there. The hot sauce I taste.
There's something about sitting and eating with people. And I don't know about the taste so much, but the experience I really love.
I see.
Mm.
Okay. So it's like a communal thing.
Yeah.
The taste too. Like if it's good beef, you can
tell the
you
difference.
can tell.
Right.
Even like when I'm cooking different things with beef, you can taste it raw. Like, yeah, because I want to know how my ingredients taste.
Mm.
But the cultural value of it, I used to hate Trisika when I was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew into it. Like my taste palette developed, and yeah, like it's so badass. Like,
I love it.
I love that we do it.
That's exactly
Yeah.
how it was with me. Okay, the next one is baking. Baking is very different from cooking. I'm the only one that's like, I can't bake to save my life.
Love it.
What have you tried baking?
Just bread, and I've tried to make banana bread a few times.
Okay.
I have to give you my ingredients. My own speech with banana bread. I have to.
So it's not that it doesn't taste good. I just can never get dough to rise. So everything I make just ends up being this very flat,
Yeah.
like strong bread.
That's like a couple of adjustments that you have to make. Plus, we're in high altitude. Addis Ababa is 2,400 meters above sea level, and like water boils at 92 degrees. And a lot of things are affected because of that, especially during baking. So you have to adjust how much flour you use, how much baking powder, baking soda you use. So if you take recipes from different countries, where the recipes were tested, if the altitude is different, especially drastically different that we have here, it's going to be tricky. You have to try it a couple of times, but it takes some patience.
I was telling him, I was like, if I try something and I'm not immediately amazing at it, I give up.
You give up? Jeez.
I have to be good at it on the first try. But yeah, no, baking is a no for me. Our next question is reading the long-winded backstory of the author of the recipe before you look at the recipe. Do you?
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
So when you go and look at recipes online,
Yeah.
they always first tell you the story of their childhoods and their parents and how they grew up before you scroll down and get to the actual recipe.
Actually, it depends. Some people I find interesting, so
You read it?
Sometimes I do.
Somewhere in between.
Someone in between, yeah.
Yes and no. Also,
Yeah.
like let me tell you my explanation. So I usually focus more on the creator more than the thing that they make, because their upbringing, their way of life, their way of seeing things, their different perspectives makes certain things make sense for the food that they're telling me how to make. Because for me to know, like, okay, I trust your interpretation of this, or it's valuable insights.
Yeah.
If you grow up in a certain area and you're sharing your story through that food, the story is important. But like, I think it's like a running joke in the community.
I
Like,
know.
every time you go through an article, it's
I
like,
don't want to know about your 7 siblings, sir.
yeah,
Sometimes people's stories are really interesting, depending on who.
yeah.
Yeah.
It really depends.
Yes.
Some people are good storytellers, some people just yap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah.
The next one is cooking as a love language.
Oh, yeah.
Cooking for someone as a love language.
Oh, eating. Eating. So for me,
It's a no for you, but it's a yes
It's
for
a
you.
definite yes for me, because I love cooking for people. Like, more than I love cooking for myself. It's like taking care of people and like the hospitality in that is like, I really enjoy cooking, like when it's for people. And actually, like the longer it takes me, like the more effort I'm I put in like to make something, I do not want to eat it.
Oh, wow.
Like at all. Like
yeah, I think once you spend a while cooking it and you
Yeah.
smell it for a really long time, it just makes you
yeah,
go.
for me it's a project, you know? Like I'm immersed in like the making of it. You know, like all the details and everything. But once it's done, I taste it, like make sure the seasonings are good. I don't want to see it.
Don't
Alright.
Like,
Yeah,
you know?
I host.
I'm done.
I used to host a lot of holidays at my house, so
Okay.
I had to do all of it.
Used to, why did you stop?
How we
You got tired. I told her, I was like, she was like, doing a lot.
take
Yeah.
a break.
Conserve your energy.
Yeah,
Enough.
it's a lot of cooking, especially with Ethiopian food. Is patience.
It is.
Doing work.
All that onions, cooking those.
All the onions.
Yeah.
Cooking with charcoal. Kased kukumaras. Oh, not like magkatatalo din. I mean, like
Yeah.
cooking with charcoal. Why don't we like that?
I prefer cooking with gas
See,
because the biggest factor is like responsiveness. Like when it's gas, if you turn it down, it's down. If it's up, it's up.
Yeah.
So like if something is burning or getting close to it, I can turn, like you have to take it on and off. It's more intuitive. It's nice when it's you're barbecuing and stuff.
That's
You're
nice.
grilling.
Yeah.
There's something innate that I like about that. But unless I have to,
I'm not doing kased.
I could do it, but like I prefer not to.
Same with you.
Same. No. I just, no.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. Never had fun.
That's it.
Yeah.
So Sunday mornings, I think we're starting to develop this ritual where we make like steak, mashed potatoes, and things like that. And
Okay.
I do it. Like I said, I don't know why. I like.
Interesting.
Okay.
I
Interesting.
like the temperature it gets to because it can get really hot.
Yeah.
Do you like the smoky taste of it?
Yes.
Mm.
Okay. Next one. Having someone in the kitchen while you're cooking. They're in the kitchen with you. You're bumping elbows.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. No.
No. I'm like, I like my speak. I blast music when I'm cooking, either headphones or just like with the music. And in my mind, I'm keeping track of so many things, like things I have to do. If it's really complicated, I write it on pieces of paper and like I plaster it on the wall in front of me. So I'm trying to keep up with all of this.
Yeah, get out.
And you try to like, oh my God, what does this taste like? No, leave. Leave.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Same with me. I think it angers.
Now, you've talked about it so
It
many times how you
angers.
hate it.
Maybe I need a kitchen that's like really big so that
Yeah.
even if you are in the kitchen,
You're
there's
not
no-
bumping each other.
Yeah. But like if it's professionally,
Yeah.
if I'm around professionals and you need some kind of synergy, like when you're coordinating something big, you have to cook with people. It really depends. I'm very picky with who I work with. Like some people just like talk my ears off. And like when I'm trying to focus and when it's like that, it's better cooking with people. When I have to, you can coordinate it just like you coordinate a project.
Yeah.
But ideally, especially if I'm at home,
Get out of my kitchen.
don't talk to me.
All right.
Speaking of music, while you're cooking, making a playlist for your cooking.
Hmm.
Yes. Okay. What kind of songs do you play when you cook?
I mean, the usual R&B, neo soul, sometimes a little bit of hip hop, sometimes rock too.
Yeah.
So, sprinkling everything.
Okay. What about you? What's your cooking?
Hip hop, rap, something like energy. If there's an album I haven't listened to, I usually listen to it while cooking. So like I'm more immersed. Like usually cooking is like autopilot for me, especially if it's not something new. So I kind of like focus on the music rhythm, and it helps me kind of ease into the whole process. Music is a must, but like I also like mixing it up. Recently, I'm listening to a lot of old Ethiopian music, a lot of Ethio jazz, a lot of Gigi and Aster.
Hey, I like that.
Exploring that some more, especially when I'm cooking.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's a vibe. It's a vibe.
What about you?
A lot of Astir, like you said, or like 2000s, late 90s Ethiopian music.
Ooh, okay.
You know, that era of like R&B-ish Ethiopian music. Or it's the same as my workout playlist, which is very high energy, very take dance breaks in between cooking type of music.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't. Those two things, I need high energy. I can't be like settled and calm
Yeah.
while I'm cooking.
Baking, when you're baking, it's nice. Something calm. Because you have to
You're
concentrate.
like, I wouldn't know.
I have no idea. Not a clue.
Okay.
Coffee with roux with inadam. I don't know.
I don't.
1,000% no. Like,
First of all, I don't drink jabana, and like tenadam, I don't. Yeah, I love the smell. I just don't put it in anything.
yeah, no tenadam. I hate tenadam.
See, it's a
Really?
love-hate
I hate-
relationship.
because my grandma had tenadam at the house, and like
The
when
plant.
every time we'd go to her place, they'd bring tea with tenadam, and it doesn't taste like tea, it just tastes like tenadam. And like when you put it in coffee, it doesn't taste like coffee anymore. It tastes like tenadam. And actually, like I found out some things about the plant. Roux is kind of has some toxicity.
Oh,
Yeah, especially to men. I read some stuff about infertility related to that. Tenadam.
Apparently not.
the controversy.
It was a revolution. Yeah. Yeah.
We can't confirm or deny, right?
Yeah. For me, I don't like the taste. I don't like it with milk. I don't like it with tea. I don't like it with coffee. I don't like it with anything.
I just don't like it at all. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hating on it. I use it when I make kombucha, just a little bit, but like kind of drowns everything out. So yeah, gotta be careful. You know how you're making a smoothie and you put some banana and this instantly a banana smoothie?
Like just overpowers
exactly,
everything.
overpowers everything. It's a bit too strong.
He's right. I love tenadam.
I know you
think
do.
I grew up around it, and like and yogurt especially.
Mhm.
When we make yogurt, they
Yes.
always put tenadam
course.
in there. So I put tenadam in my tea and my coffee and my water.
Mm.
So
I
it's
prefer mint
Water.
in my
in my water.
No way.
Yeah, I prefer mint. I like to put mint in my tea. Yeah. And
But roux is
I'd
controversial.
rather add salt and drink it. I swear to God.
Yeah. So if people love it, they do, and if they hate it, it's like that.
salt.
Yeah.
No.
So my husband hates roux, so I can't have it in the house. I like can't have it near his. It's always
Wait, other men in the room. Do you guys like tenadam? You do?
Yeah.
Everybody else? He was like, of course.
Look into it.
It's like
Yeah, look into roux and what it does to men. Like,
Okay.
I'm worried. Our last question is a coffee one too, but coffee with butter. Hey, it gets it too. Have you ever tried coffee with butter?
No.
Do you want to?
No.
it's actually like better than you think.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've heard this. I've
Yeah.
heard that it's very good.
Yeah, and coffee butter coffee is a thing.
Yes, with like frothy butter coffee.
Yeah, like like good coffee has a bit of fat, like a bit of oiliness.
Yeah.
So it goes really well, like when it's made well, properly emulsified, not like a layer of grease on top of.
I know.
Yeah,
Which is what people would imagine.
exactly.
I
And
like that too.
the texture in your mouth is like so nice. Yeah.
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 Probably doesn't believe us at all.
Like when in Gurage households,
That's the
so
butter.
like they pour from the same jabana
Oh, yeah.
with butter and without butter, based off how they tip the
Yes.
jabana. Yeah,
Because it floats on top of the
yeah,
coffee.
yeah.
It's possible. Okay, those are our questions. Thank you so much for playing. You like these?
Yes, we're gonna keep these around. Yes.
Yes.
But before we do wrap it up, what projects do you have coming up? Where can people try your cooking?
Mm.
Where can they just come see your other creative endeavors as well?
So currently, creatively, what I'm working on, one big thing is my events. So I have an event series called the Taste Event Series, where we take food and merge it with another creative discipline. So we recently did Taste and Tune, which is food and music.
Mm-hmm.
So taste is supposed to represent food and your taste in things generally.
Mm-hmm.
Tune is for music, like tuning a musical instrument. And we also did Taste and Feel, which is food and arts. So we did different, like collaborated with different visual artists. So on Taste and Feel, we had like a workshop, a jam making workshop, and a kimchi making workshop. And then, so I also work around nutrition, and we managed to reverse my dad's type 2 diabetes with the nutrition. And the food was the food that I make for him. So it was kind of a way for me to share that with people.
Yeah.
And for our last event for Taste and Tune, it was based on the Ethiopian pentatonic scale, which is a scale of music where you use five notes. And it's kind of the Ethiopian musical DNA, and we wanted to honor that. So we chose 5 musical genres: Ethio jazz, Ethio reggae, Ethio soul, Ethio hip hop, and Ethio electronics. So 5 genres, 5 different performances by different artists. All the music was based on the pentatonic scale. So kind of a new experience for me working with musicians in that way. I had to learn more about music and stuff. So 5 performances, and there's foods representing each course. Right. So the food concept was, I'm really proud of it. So for Ethio jazz, the concept was postmodern. So something that is a traditional dish, but the form is very, very much altered. So we chose kitfo, aib, kocho, gomen. So very, very familiar taste. So we like a rectangle of kocho, some spiced aib, really good aib. I get my aib from the city called Chacha, next to Debre Burhan. They have really good dairy and really good aib. So spiced aib with kibe and korarima and mitbita. And then nice like raw kitfo. So we did a quenelle, which is like a nice oval shape. You do it with different spoons, nice and fancy. And we did a gomen puff. So we cooked tapioca starch, and then we cooked gomen, normal labasha gomen. We blended it, poured it on a sheet tray, dehydrated it, and fried it. So it turns into a puff, but it tastes exactly like gomen. So we have different textures, and when you bite it all together, like even the size of the kocho, it's either one big bite or 2 kind of smaller bites. Either way, you eat all of it at once, so you get all the textures.
Yeah.
So for hip hop, actually, Uno did the hip hop. I know you was a guest here. Yeah.
Shout out to our guy Uno.
Shout out to Uno. So we did Uno did the hip hop, and we took inspiration from graffiti art. So we got 3 different sauces. Like we wanted to do the Ethiopian flag, so green, yellow, and red. So for the green, we did a parsley and basil sauce. For the yellow, we did a squash puree, and for the red, we did a beet puree. So kind of splattered it all over the plates,
like graffiti,
and like lamb ragu ravioli. So I wanted to do raviolis, kind of like. So the timing when people are eating, like 1 big ravioli is like a nice serving. And the lamb was cooked for like 16 hours, like very slowly, very pull apart, tender.
We have to. The amount of detail and thought. I can see it in her face. But I appreciate the art behind all of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Like for everything. And one fun course was the electronics. So I was inspired by the Breaking Bad bags of meth. And they were on the show, it's actually candy. So you cook sugar and corn syrup to a specific temperature, like 300 degrees Fahrenheit or 148 degrees Celsius, which is called a hard ball phase. So it kind of turns into glass. But instead of corn syrup, I did honey to make it more like an Ethiopian flavor. So turned that into glass. And that was like for the electronics. It really tasted like mar caramella. Like exactly like mar caramella. It's insane. So that, and then for Ethio Soul, I wanted something like really comforting. So we did like a vanilla sponge cake with a mango caramel. Well, technically it's called mango diplomat cream, which is it's caramel lightened with cream. So that capped everything off. And for the reggae, we did barbecued.
I was going to say barbecue. Of course.
Yeah. We did jerk chicken, jerk mushrooms for our fasting people, coconut rice with black beans, and some grilled veg.
Wow.
So while the artists were playing the reggae, like there's a barbecue next to it. So that's kind of created like a vibe.
It's like I'm hungry.
Yeah, so that was like Taste and Tune. So when I collaborate with these different disciplines, I don't want it to be surface level. That's why I work hard with the concepts and try to get really good artists. I don't want to just open a playlist. You know what I mean? So I want people to experience the creation of music in a more intimate way, because like musical experiences on the highest level. Maybe it's a concert and you're kind of detached from everything. So trying to cut that barrier and make it a more cohesive concept and event. So the next one we're doing is Taste and Dress, which is food and fashion. So I'm launching a fashion brand. This is actually a piece from my collection.
Impressed by that shirt.
Right.
Yeah. So the clothing collection is a workwear collection. So meaning we chose different segments of our society, different blue collar workers that are like generally underrepresented. We picked items of clothing from them. And the cook is one of the line from the workwear collection. And this is one of my favorite pieces. So it's inspired by a chef jacket. So when you close it up, it has hidden pockets. It creates that silhouette.
The chef's jacket.
Yeah, but you can also wear it outside like normally.
Nice.
So we chose like local fabrics. So this is local denim. Like the cotton is Ethiopian cotton. It's woven into denim here and it's dyed here also. So we work with different artisans and creatives that are local, so to create a completely unique product, but like representing our heritage and like an homage to creatives and artisans at large. Not the finished pieces, like the ones. So we're launching at the event.
Okay.
So nice concept with like food, music, art. Fashion.
You deal with all the
mainly
things. Yeah.
Because people eat, people wear clothes, they dress up, primal things. It's a better thing to focus on. And the way I'm like obsessive and like dive into details, for me, I really like pay attention to like the purpose. What purpose does this serve? Because I don't want to be doing something like just for the sake of doing it. There's a lot of stories that need to be told in our societies, and those stories can be told in so many different ways. Food is such a great medium. Clothes are a great medium. Art is a great medium. Music's a great medium. So for me, I lean towards these things. So I like to show that with my output, which is like content or a piece of video, or it could be an event. So it all comes down to like me expressing myself and telling the story of us, like our society, creatives at large, like it's been disregarded for such a long time. For me, like I just want to tell more of that story. So yeah, like that's...
We love that.
That's beautiful.
That's what's coming up.
Yeah.
We appreciate you being here. Hopefully we get to attend the next one.
That's the hope.
That's
the
us
plan.
putting in our invitation.
Like inviting ourselves.
Fantastic. All right. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you taking the time.
This has been a pleasure. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. You guys are doing great. This is such a great platform. I feel so free. You know what I mean? Like I'm hanging my feet up and everything. I have a gabi.
I know.
Yeah. So nice. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for being here. But that's it for us for today. We'll be back with another episode. But
as usual, stay hydrated, make good decisions, mind your business.
bye.
Bye.
Sending memes back and forth, saying this is so us. I come running for advice because it's you I trust.